Hello, my name is Leo and welcome to a new day of the Elder Scrolls Arena. We are now fast traveling back to our good old favorite town of Einmerval. Einmerval. Oh, the memories. I love Einmerval. Remember when we did that thing in Einmerval? Yeah. I remember when we were in Einmerval and that guy did the thing with the other guy. That was the greatest. Fuck, I love Einmerval. Einmerval is probably my favourite town in Elsewhere so far. Fuck it. I haven't really visited any other towns in Tamriel, so Einmerval is my favourite city in Tamriel. And 90% of the reason why it's the best is the fact that it's got Ein in its name. And Ein is the best character in Cowboy Bebop. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of comparisons that can be made between Cowboy Bebop and Elder Scrolls Arena. Not a lot, but, you know, I'm not really thinking of any, like, nothing's coming off the top of my head right now, but I'm sure there's many comparisons that could be made between a video game from the 90s and an anime from the 90s? Wait, when did Cowboy Bebop come out? I think it did come out in the late 90s. I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. But anyway. Well, to be fair, Cowboy Bebop was all about bounty hunting. And you do a fair bit of questing and looking for bounties. You know, we killed that ice golem in Valor. That was a bounty. We killed the Brynjolf guy. He was a bounty. In fact, wasn't that a Lord's mission for Einmerval? I think it was. Either that or Hermiamont. The one that's just south of that, yeah. Also, Cowboy Bebop's a lot about just flying around, journeying in space. Whereas Arena, we're just riding a horse everywhere. Just constantly riding horses. If we're not in a town shopping all day, we're riding horses. And then 1% of the time, we actually do quests and shit. Pretty much. And a little bit of dungeon crawling. Okay, so we are on our way to Einmerval anyway. So that's that. What do I want to talk about today? I want to talk about the fact that, now I hope I'm not alone. I hope I'm not the only person who's like this, but I am a late adapter of new technology. For example, when XP came out, I was quite happy with Windows 98 for quite a while. And then I finally started using XP and I realized, wow, this is really the way to go. I don't actually have to install drivers anymore. Well, most of the time. There's some cases where you actually do need to install drivers with XP, but generally speaking, if you're connected to the internet, you plug a mouse or a headset or whatever into your computer, XP will go, there's a new thing in the USB slot. I'll figure out what it is. I know what it is now. Let's check online to see if there's a driver for it. There it is. Okay, I'm going to download it now. I downloaded it. Better install it now. I just installed it. There you go, Leo. Enjoy your mouse. Of course, it happens a little bit faster than that, but more or less. Well, these days with USB devices, isn't like the drivers and stuff in the actual device? I don't know if that's how it works. You mean like inside the mouse is the driver, and when you plug it into the USB device, it downloads the driver from the mouse? It could be. It's possible, because like if you're not connected to the internet, it'll still do it. It's true. That is true. Unless maybe the XP's just got a huge like thing of drivers. That's also quite possible. You know. Anyway, then when Windows Vista came out, and I didn't even touch the fucking thing, Windows 7 came out and I was staunchly against it. I loved XP. I still do, actually. I miss XP. My new laptop that I've got here is a Windows 7 laptop, and I've gotten used to using Windows 7. There isn't... I guess there's a couple of things that's good about it. There isn't a lot, though. There isn't a lot that Windows 7 does that XP couldn't do. And And sorry, XP could do a lot of things better than Windows 7. For example, playing DOS games. Yeah, remember when we could play games that would only work if you had... What are you talking about? XP doesn't have DOS. Well, what am I thinking of? There is a whole... I know what you're talking about. You're talking about there's a whole bunch of games that don't work on Windows 7. I think that is less the actual operating system and more the fact that you're using the 64-bit version of Windows 7, whereas XP is 32-bit, and some games just don't work on a 64-bit thing. I'm not really sure the technicality. I remember a couple of games we've played in the YOLO, like Virus, just wouldn't work on Windows 7. And things like Arena and what's the other one? What's the other big one? Oh, Hugo's House of Horrors. That's coming out soon. Hugo's House of Horrors. Get ready for it. By it's coming out soon, I mean a full Let's Play of it, of the freaking game. They're all old games and all DOS games, and they don't run on Windows. So you need to use something like DOSBox. That being said, as long as you've got DOSBox, you're golden, right? It's the games that work on Windows 95 that you get into trouble with, like Virus, where it'll work on XP because XP can somehow backwards compatible itself back to 98, but for some reason Windows 7 can't. I don't understand why you can't do it, but whatever. That's just neither here nor there. So that's just one example. You know, there's tons of examples. A good example actually is back when I was a kid, when I was a little tyke, I had the first time I came to Japan, I bought a portable CD player that could play MP3s. Now, at the time, this was revolutionary, actually, in Australia. This was before, MP3 players were really popular. Before you could have a CD player that could play MP3s. So, I was ahead of the crowd at that particular moment in time. So when I do make the jump, I usually pick something that'll really jump me, so that I've got some longevity about my purchase. But an example would be when I had a car. My first car was a Nissan Pantara T. It was actually my mum's car. And then she bought a new car. She bought a Nissan Pulsar. And my brother, who was in grade 12 at high school at the time, got the car. And it was his car. And it had just like a tape deck. Or no, what did it have? I can't even remember what it had. I think it had a tape deck. No, it didn't even have that. I think it just had a radio. Yeah, it just had a radio built into it. And that just wouldn't do for... No, you know what? It did have a tape deck. Are you sure? God damn it. Yes, it did. No, you're right. It did have a tape deck because my brother did this kind of ingenious when you think about it. Kind of like how the Commodore 64, you would actually get like video games on cassette tapes, like cassette audio tapes. Like when you really think about it, it's more than possible when you think about it just to do that, to put like data onto a analog cassette tape. But at first glance you think, wait, what? Video games on an audio cassette? That doesn't even make sense. But yeah, it was a thing. But no, what I want to talk about is he had, so the car had a cassette player, right? He wanted to listen to his CD music. He was into techno trance and like dance music. So he had a an old CD player that he got in like friggin' elementary school. He also had this nifty little cool like platform, like an anti-skip platform. Now you young people with your MP3 players, you wouldn't know what this is about. But back in the day, when you were listening to a CD, right, in the car, and you touch the slightest bump in the road, that CD is gonna skip like a mofo. It was such a pain in the ass. But he had this little platform, and it was like a little shock absorber thingy, and it would like absorb the impact and basically make it so it didn't skip. Although it would still skip on like really big bumps, like speed bumps and stuff. But generally, general driving, it wouldn't actually, skip. It also doubled up as a power adapter, an AC adapter for the CD player, because you plug it into your ashtray, your cigarette lighter, and you could power your CD player on it. And now the real question is, how do you get the sound from the CD player into the car stereo system? Here's where the ingenious thing comes in. Okay, so it's this cable, right? On one end, it's a standard 3.5 headphone jack that pops in to your CD player. On the other end of the cable is what appears to be a cassette tape, an audio cassette tape, that you would then put into your cassette player as you would a normal cassette. The cable would hang out the cassette door and go into the headphone jack of your CD player. Then you'd hit play on your cassette player, and you'd hit play on your CD player, and boom! You'd have the audio from the CD player, or anything for that matter, going through your cassette, through your car stereo. How ingenious is that? But my brother wasn't satisfied with this. Oh no. No. He wasn't satisfied with this. He was of the persuasion that I want the biggest freaking speaker I could possibly get in my car. The biggest subwoofer you could buy. So he bought his new stereo system. He fitted it into the car himself. He kind of screwed the electricals of the goddamn car in doing so. But whatever, there was this big ass subwoofer. He got like a 10 stacker CD thing, so he didn't need to do that stupid shit with the what's the name? It would just, the CDs would just be there. Then when I got the car, right? So he left. It was time for me to get a car. He bought his car, and I got the car. He ripped out his stereo and everything out of it, leaving the car a shell of a car as far as electronics are concerned. He had fitted central locking into the car, previously didn't have it, but he didn't properly not insulate, properly waterproof the doors. So it rained one day, the water got inside the door and fried the freaking central locking, so that in the passenger side of the car, if the door's unlocked, you get in the passenger side, you close the door will automatically lock itself. Which is kind of scary when, university-aged Leo is picking up a date to go, to dinner or something, or to a movie, and it's kind of like the first date or the second date. No, the first date is the most impact. Where, it's the first time you're meeting her, it's like, oh, how's it going, blah, blah, blah. She gets in the car, closes the door, and the doors just lock themselves. And she's like, I'm like, yeah, I gotta, tell her the whole freaking story to explain to her that, no, I'm not a creepy dude. It's just my brother's an asshole. And he never offered to fix the friggin' central locking. Anyway, so I bought just a simple ass cassette stereo, so that I could do the tape trick that he used to do with his CD player. Except I used my awesome MP3 CD player that I got from Japan. Now, everyone was thinking, why the hell would you buy a cassette player? Who buys a cassette player? Dude, go out there and buy a CD player. See, this is what I'm talking about adapting to technology. No, I'm quite happy with a cassette tape. Because what happens is I'm late to adopt new technology, but clinging to my old technology often has extra cool features that is better than the new technology is vanilla anyway. So in this case, I had my awesome CD player that I got from Japan, which is immensely high tech, but I didn't have a way to get so I effectively had an MP3 player, right? In a roundabout way. I ripped all my CDs onto MP3s, stuck them onto CDs, and I could listen to MP3s, right? So instead of having one CD in my CD player, I could have 10 or 12 CDs worth of CDs. And of course, these days, when you've got friggin' 160 gig iPods, that's really irrelevant. But, at the time, it was really cool. Especially at the time, Australia just didn't have MP3 players. And they didn't have CD players that could play MP3s. So, by having a cassette deck in my car, I could do shit that nobody else could do. That's awesome. So another kind of thing about that is consoles. When the last gen, the Xbox 360 and PS3 first came out, I was very late. I was quite happy with my PS2. No real reason to buy a game, and then Metal Gear Solid 4 came out, and I'm like, shit, I gotta play that. And then I've told the story a few times already. I bought a PlayStation 3, bought Metal Gear Solid 4, I feigned sickness for a week from work, I played it for a week, took it back to EB Games because they had that 1 week rule where you could take back games, and asked for my money back. Now, I didn't realize that this only worked for games, not for consoles, and the store that I bought it from said no. But then on the way home, I thought, you know what, I'll just try another store. And they actually went, yeah, alright, I guess. I'm like, yes. So I got a week's worth of playing the shit out of Metal Gear Solid 4, which was a decent amount. I played that game like 5 times. And unlocked almost everything. And then I just took it all back. And then, I got a PlayStation 3 by other means. Years and years later, I bought a 360 instead, and that was like years after it had come out. Jack bought one like a year after the Xbox 360 came out, and then I bought mine maybe 4 or 5 years after that. No, maybe it wasn't that much. Maybe it was 3 to 4 years. It was a decent amount of time after it had originally come out. So a pretty late starter. So with the new gen, with PS4 and Xbox I have absolutely no interest in. Wii U and PS4 I have slight interest in. Mainly the PS4 though. But at the moment there's just no reason to. There's just absolutely no reason to go into it. So I don't know. Maybe this is a topic for another time. But or maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow. But yeah, basically, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I want to know if there's anyone out there that is the same as me. Just, new stuff comes out, and you're just like, nah, I'm quite happy with what I got now. And then, take Vista, for example. There were people that needed to have the new version of Windows, and despite the fact that Vista sucked balls, they used it. They bought it and used it. Why? Just wait, be happy with XP, and then get Windows 7 when it comes out. That being said, I'd be very happy if I still have XP on this laptop. Although, well, I don't use it anymore, but Windows Movie Maker for Windows 7 is quite useful. Windows Movie Maker for XP is completely useless. So, it would kind of make more sense to go Windows 7 in that instance, which is why it's good that I've got a computer with XP on it and a computer with Windows 7. It's just a shame that the computer with XP on it, 1, is not here, it's packed up in a box in Australia, and 2, the power supply kind of exploded one time, and then I bought another power supply that also exploded. So I bought another power supply that I think is okay, but I'm really, really scared to actually use that computer for any long period of time, which is a slight problem because there's a YOLO game that we haven't finished yet that uses that computer. yeah, and that game's got to go on forever. But anyway, it'll be the last YOLO that I'll actually release, assuming I don't go back to Australia before then and we record more YOLOs, because it just ends. Well, I mean, we're doing... No, I've said too much. So, so anyway, when we come back tomorrow, we will be fast traveling some more. But for now, my name is Leo, and I will see you next time.